Whenever I play a sniper, this tends to happen to me a lot. And that happens mostly for two reasons. One is because I don't see the sniper ahead of time, and two, well, I have a pretty slow response time. But that's not to say I don't get kills as sniper, I do, but I just tend to die a lot more often than I should. Though most of my kills tend to be body shots simply because my headshots are really wacky. Sometimes I'll manage to pull off a headshot, other times my headshot won't do enough damage, especially towards a heavy who is overhealed, and which will result in a sniper killing me. And then there are those weird times where even if I aim for the head, my hit does not register at all. I mean, seriously, look at this. Though despite all of this, I don't think sniper is a difficult class to play. The real question is if he's worth playing. You see, whenever I play a sniper, my main goal is to take out any slow moving targets such as sniper, heavy, or soldier. I also go for these classes because they deal the most damage and they're the most dangerous. Though just because I go for these classes a lot more often doesn't mean I ignore all the other ones. In fact, engineer is a pretty easy target to take out whenever he's building something. It really comes down to what the enemy is doing wrong, such as not being supported by other teammates like a medic, or not being aware of their surroundings. And speaking of not being aware of our surroundings, that's something that a lot of sniper players suffer from, simply because we try to focus on enemies that are farther away than the ones close by. We expect our teammates to deal with the occasional scout or spy simply because, as a sniper, they're not the easiest targets to hit. Though of course I'm referring to using a sniper rifle to deal with them rather than a melee weapon. And I'll admit, I don't really use the sniper's main rifles all that much, simply because there's a much more fun option, which of course is the bow and arrow. Now I know a lot of people say that the bow and arrow is a noob's weapon because there's almost no skill involved and you can just spam the arrows to do the most amount of damage, but honestly this helps create a new playing style of sniper, which I like to call the battle sniper. I like seeing this playstyle being a lot more forgiving for new sniper players because not only does it give you a very powerful main weapon, but also arguably a very powerful melee weapon, which is the bushwhacker. Now, the bushwhacker isn't without its flaws. After all, it does have a 20% damage vulnerability on wearer. However, this is only when it's equipped, which means that if you're able to close the distance, you might be able to get a kill without taking a lot of damage. But if you want your chances of getting a kill higher, the Draughty is a good option since your bushwhacker would do full crits rather than mini crits. But even with this devastating combo, if the enemy is aware of what you're trying to do, your chances go from 100 all the way to 0 in a matter of seconds. But besides the bushwhacker, if you hate spies like I do and don't want to use the stock weapon, try using the Tribal Shiv. Now don't get me wrong, it's nowhere near as good as the bushwhacker or stock, considering that it does less damage overall. However, if you're not running the Draughty, this is still a pretty good option. You may not always get a kill with it, but when you do, it's a pretty embarrassing sight to see, especially for the enemy player. But besides melee weapons, one thing that a lot of sniper mains tend to ignore or just downright not use is his SMG. Now, I'll admit myself, I also don't use the SMG all that often because I always run Draughty. However, the SMG is probably the best secondary the sniper has. I say this because not only can you do good damage from a far distance, but it's also consistent, which means that if you have good aim, your chances of winning a fight improve significantly. Though that's not to say that the other SMG is good. And yes, I'm referring to the Cleaner's Carbine. If we take a look at the stats, it has a 20% clip size reduction, it fires 25% slower, and it deals no critical hits. Instead, it does mini crits for 8 seconds when you charge up the meter. This means that using the bushwhacker may not be a bad choice if you manage to sneak up behind the enemy, though of course making sure that your hits land is a problem itself. And it only gets more frustrating when the enemy is aware of what you're trying to do and keep their distance while doing chip damage. But despite these flaws, if you can somehow make it work, then by all means use it if you can. Now, I know that I've only been talking about a handful of snipers' accessories in this video, but that's because I see more practicality in these than anything else. If you want my opinion on, say, the Razorback, well, you could just watch Squimjim's video on it. Now, I'm not saying that I never use it, but my preferred playstyle of sniper just does not require it because I have a better option. The only time I see myself equipping the Razorback is if I'm using a sniper rifle rather than the fortified compound, since I have to be a lot more stationary when taking my shots. Anyways, I just wanted to make this video to see how other people play sniper. Whether it's the same as me or just casual, I don't know. You can tell me in the comment section below. Anyways, have a good day.